you join me on a very cold and windy afternoon. The temperatures around here have been a little bit balmy these past few weeks, plus temperatures, and all the snow that's usually around has completely melted. But today the weather has decided to go back to normal winter conditions, and it's -10 and it's starting to snow. I popped out for a couple of hours this afternoon to do a little bit of practice with the gear that I'm taking on my upcoming backpacking trip, where I'm going to be making a documentary film, but also do a lot of photography. And I've got to make a lot of compromises with what I'm taking, because I'm going to be carrying everything in my pack for best part of 3 weeks. Weight is an issue. So I've chosen a camera, a couple of lenses, and no external monitor, unfortunately, no slider or gimbal. Everything that I'm going to be doing is going to be shot handheld or with a tripod. That's going to present a few challenges. I'm trying to keep my backpack weight to 35 to 40 pounds. Now, typically, when I'm out for a day or two on a client shoot, 40 pounds, I wouldn't even give a second thought. But I'm walking 315 kilometers approximately over almost 3 weeks, and some days we're going to be walking up to 30 kilometers a day in quite warm weather in Spain. So that is a bit of a challenge. If you're interested, I'm on a section of the Trans-Canada Trail just east of Uxbridge. I think it's called Nolan's Trail. It's rather pleasant, not that photogenic, I don't think, but the purpose of today is really to practice filming with my gear, or particularly the file formats that I'm going to be using, which I don't typically use. Even though my primary reason for going on this trip is to make a film, I'm also going to be doing a lot of photography too. It's sort of a, film / photography trip. And well, the camera and the gear that I've got is, I think, the perfect combination to do both of those things. So what is the perfect hybrid system, I hear you ask? What am I taking? Well, it's a Nikon Z9 with a 24-70 f2.8 lens and an 85mm f1.8 lens, and that's it. That's gonna pretty much cover everything that I need to do for the type of thing that I'm filming. I do prefer shooting with prime lenses, but the 24-70 is really going to be essential, because I'm going to need to change my focal length pretty quickly, sort of run and gun style. I typically shoot H.265 10-bit, but I decided that I really need to up my game here, because there is a chance that the film could be shown in movie theaters. I'm going to be shooting ProRes RAW 12-bit and ProRes HQ 10-bit. Going to be switching between the two. I think for scenes that don't have a huge amount of dynamic range and there's plenty of light, ProRes HQ is going to be fine, but the RAW will be needed when there's a bit more dynamic range required, and particularly controlling highlight roll-off, and also for low light. One of my little secrets for this trip, in fact all of my trips, is the strap that I use. It's made by Optech USA. It's got a neoprene padded section, and when you hold the camera out, there's actually a bit of stretch, a bit of give. So what that means is you can use this and get a really steady shot with the camera and lens stabilization working as well. You don't need a gimbal. I've had these straps for 28 years. I've had 3 of them. They are fantastic. They go everywhere with me for my photography and now my video. They should pay me for this. Well, enough of all this chit-chat. Let's just run some B-roll and see how that footage is looking. So let's do some photography now. The snow is coming down pretty hard, but yeah, not very photogenic around here. I need to try quite hard to find some shots. So another piece of essential gear that I really can't do without for both photography and video is this little matte box, because it keeps rain and snow off of the lens and the filters in this case. This one is particularly good because it's got these little adjustable flaps as well as flaps at the side, so not a single speck of snow. Fantastic. I've just found a section of the trail that goes downhill and it winds, and there's sort of like this wonderful S shape to it. Let's see if we can make that work, and then we can say we've done a photography vlog. How about that? What I'm trying to do with this composition is position the camera so that all of the trees, the main tree, certainly in the first 2/3 of the frame, they're nicely evenly spaced. I've got the composition now. The only thing that I don't like about this shot is way off in the distance, there's some birch trees. Behind the birch trees, it's a lovely grouping of trees, but there's a fallen tree that is covered in snow, so it's ruining all the verticals, and it's also very bright. The only way around that is to actually clone it out. I might have to do that. I've come down the trail to where this fallen tree was ruining my shot just a few moments ago, and I just realized if I look back up the trail, there's also a good shot to be had. This shot isn't as good as the last one because there's a dark tree behind the white birch trees. You can just see a part of it, and that bugs me. I don't like seeing little bits of things overlapping. I like to have things clearly positioned and defined because it just looks less messy. There's also a little bit of orange spray paint on this tree in the foreground, which I don't like. That's coming out. Well, this has been a bit of a strange video, really. A mishmash of not much. I wanted to get out for a couple of hours and have a play, and that's what I did, and I recorded it, and I guess you've watched it. Or not, in which case I'm talking to myself. Nothing unusual there. I do appreciate you watching if you did make it this far, and see you next time.